and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal Algérie. I'm your host, Meissa Doumas. To the headlines. On the second day of his visit to Qatar, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, officially received by the Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, with whom he reviewed bilateral relations. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, meets the Algerian community settled in Qatar and vows to help them participate in the ongoing edification process of the country. Tension is still running high in Morocco, with further demonstrations throughout the kingdom, putting more pressure on the Marsan regime. Those were today's headlines. First in our news, and on the second day of his visit to Qatar, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, was officially received by the Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, with whom he reviewed bilateral relations, in addition to a flurry of diplomatic activities, notably the signing of agreements and meeting the national community. Manal Ammari has the full story.
After the welcoming ceremony, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, listened to both countries' national anthems, then reviewed a detachment of the Princely Guard of Qatar, who paid them the honors. Then the two leaders greeted the delegations of the two countries. Afterwards, the President of the Republic held talks with the Emir, which included delegations from both parties, before they got limited to the two heads of states, during which they reviewed the level of bilateral relations between Algeria and Qatar. The President and the Emir of Qatar supervised the signing of 4 agreements and memorandums of understanding. The first relates to the establishment of political consultations and coordination between the two countries' ministers of foreign affairs. The second regarding legal and judicial cooperation in criminal matters. The third in the field of solidarity, social and family development. And the fourth concerning an executive program pursuant to the Educational and Scientific Cooperation Agreement for the school years 2022-2025. Later in the day, the Emir of Qatar offered a lunch in honor of President Tebboune and the accompanying delegation. The President of the Republic received on Sunday the Qatari Prime Minister and Interior Minister, Sheikh Khalid bin Khalifa bin Abdul Aziz Al Thani, who paid him a courtesy visit at his residence in Doha. On the sidelines of his visit to Qatar, the President Abdelmajid Tebboune met with members of the Algerian community settled in this country, during which he listened to their concerns and reiterated his desire to grant all facilitations to Algerian citizens abroad, recalling on this occasion the latest measures taken in this regard. He also assured members of the national community in Qatar of his readiness to open the way to all loyal patriots to participate in the building of a new Algeria.
يشاركوا في البناء هذا. دخلنا في مرحلة ربما اللي إن شاء الله تلبي الطموح تاع كل جزائريات والجزائريين أننا نكون دولة قوية متقدمة باستثمارات.
On the sidelines of this meeting, the President of the Republic held talks with members of the national community settled abroad, including resident employees, prominent media professionals, and Algerian businessmen, and renewed his commitment to continue to provide mechanisms which guarantee their rights and enable them to perform their duties toward their homeland and contribute to strengthening the real concept of economic diplomacy, which Algeria is implementing within a comprehensive approach that excludes no one.
In a tweet, the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, expressed his pride for the fraternal relations with the Algerian people and vowed to further consolidate them to be up to the level of the people's aspirations. The Algerian Qatari steel complex in the Ballara industrial zone in Jijel is a telling evidence of this successful bilateral cooperation, which has yielded positive results so far. Ines Kilou gives us more details in this exhaustive report.
The Algerian Qatari Steel Company was established in 2013 as a result of a successful partnership between Algeria and Qatar. It operates in the industrial zone of Ballara in the municipality of Limliya in Jijel province, where it runs an iron and steel complex covering an area of 2,016 hectares with an annual production capacity of 2 million tons of steel intended for construction. It is one of the largest direct reduction in the world, with an annual production capacity of 2.5 million tons, so it's an honor and privilege to have worked in this factory. Thanks to its important production, the Ballara complex intends to meet the needs of the local market and export its products thanks to an essential partner in logistics, namely the port of Jinjin. As you can see, we are on the main transmission line that links Jinjin port to the Ballara steel complex. This line is very important for us because it allows us to work easily and improve the weight of transportation of raw materials from Jinjin port to the complex. As a reminder, this investment of around $2 billion has created 2,300 direct jobs and 5,000 indirect jobs.
The President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, met in Cairo with the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abu Ghait, who praised the role of Algeria at the Arab level under the aegis of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. The two sides agreed to continue cooperation between the Arab League and the Algerian Parliament, highlighting the importance of ensuring all the conditions for the success of the next Arab Summit due to be held in Algeria. Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman received the President of the International Mediterranean Games Committee, David Tizano, as part of the ongoing preparations for the 19th edition of the Mediterranean Games, which will be held in Oran next June. The 7 terrorists who were killed on Saturday in Skikda province were identified thanks to the searching operations still in progress in the forest of Wed al-Duwar. 6 Kalashnikov machine guns, 1 sniper, considerable quantities of ammunition, as well as clothes and medicines were seized during this operation. And the terrorists in question are Rashid Far, also known as Abdel Hay, joined the terrorist groups in 1994. Abdel Karim Farkous, known as Nuh, joined the terrorist groups in 1994. Ilyas Deeb, alias Abu Ismail, joined the terrorist groups in 1995. Kamal Bouyusri, also known as Ibrahim Al-Qaeda, joined the terrorist groups in 1996. Abdel Karim Ghudban, alias Abbas al-Khurbi, joined the terrorist groups in 2002. Khalid Yousfi, also known as Al-Ga'ga', joined the terrorist groups in 2008. Azzuddin Sakkat, alias Jabir al-Marroki, joined the terrorist groups in 2009. The director, Jamal bin Daddouche, passed away at the age of 80. The deceased joined the Algerian national television after independence. Among his famous works, The Conflict and The White Bird. He then joined the National Audiovisual Production Company to produce numerous education programs. Jamal was buried after the prayer of Al-Asr in the cemetery of Wad al-Ramman in Algiers. To COVID-19 updates now, 118 new confirmed cases of coronavirus, 115 recoveries and 10 deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours in Algeria, according to the Health Ministry, which keeps reiterating that getting vaccinated is the only way to curb the spread of this pandemic once and for all. In Western Sahara, demonstrators, notably in La'youn and Dakhla sectors, denounced the assassination of the young Sahrawi Lahbib Agraishi. More details with Rania Al-Bahri.
The assassination of the Sahrawi citizen Lahbib Agraishi by the Moroccan occupier in the Dakhla region aroused a wave of anger throughout the Sahrawi territories, illegally occupied for more than 40 years by the Makhzen regime. The demonstrations are multiplying to denounce the Moroccan atrocities committed in Dakhla and La'youn sectors and demand persecution of those behind this crime. Disappeared in suspicious circumstances since February the 7th, Lahbib Agraishi was found dead 10 days later. A crime committed by the Moroccan occupier in complete impunity, which is added to their series of abuses and violations embodying the repressive policy of Al Makhzen regime. Indeed, the Moroccan occupier multiplies the violations of rights to silence the free voices of Sahrawis who militate for their right of self-determination. Since the assassination of Lahbib Agraishi, thousands of Sahrawis continue to raise their voice in the streets to affirm their support and reaffirm their determination to continue the fight until the recovery of independence. The demonstrators are calling on the international community and all peoples to put an end to the crimes perpetrated by the Moroccan occupier. For its part, the collective of associations of the Sahrawi community in France and in Northern Europe denounced the heinous crimes of the Moroccan regime and demands to bring before the international justice. The repressive practices against human rights activists and Sahrawi civilians have doubled their intensity, particularly since the breach of the ceasefire agreement by Morocco on November 13, 2020.
In Morocco, slogans were chanted to denounce the policy of Al-Makhzen regime and to demand the departure of the head of government Aziz Akhnouch. Rania Al-Bahri once again.
Down with tyranny and corruption that sharply deteriorated the purchasing power in Morocco. These slogans were chanted to denounce the policy of Al-Makhzen regime and demand of the departure of the head of government Aziz Akhnouch, increasingly criticized for his unpopular decisions, his liberal leanings, and especially in food rising prices, necessities and fuel. This Sunday, anger spread to more than 40 Moroccan cities at the call of Moroccan Social Front, called on the Moroccan people to participate in force in protest and sit-ins to denounce the growing tyranny, the scandalous high cost of living, as well as the restrictions and repression of public and trade union rights and freedoms. The Organization for the Defense of Human Rights in Morocco reported that the International Day of Social Justice comes at a time when Morocco is experiencing serious regressions, whether in terms of economic, social, environmental, or civil and political rights. The association expressed its support for social movements in their fight for the right to a decent life, criticizing the exploitation of Morocco for COVID-19 pandemic in order to control public spaces. For his part, the Deputy National of the Moroccan Democratic Party, Nahj, Muad al-Jahri, declared that the International Day of Social Justice is an important occasion to underline the need to arrive at a united popular front to establish democracy in Morocco. He also stressed that the system will change in spite of itself. For Moroccans, these protest movements aim to overthrow tyranny and corruption and achieve a society of dignity, freedom, social justice, and effective equality among all. These demonstrations come at a time when the Zionist Minister of Economy is visiting Rabat.
Let's discover more about our national patrimony, starting from the castle of 8th Abbas in Bjaya province with our field reporter and guide Ines Killu, who has more to say in this concise but fascinating story.
In a beautiful site located at an altitude of more than 1,000 meters above sea level, we discover Qal'at 8th Abbas, a fortress built in the 16th century on a rocky plateau with an area of 400 hectares, which has a rich and great history. Many visitors come to 8th Abbas in search for the missing treasure. We volunteered to the Algerian Isoren team, which consists of 3 young female architects and civil engineers. We took this initiative in order to promote the heritage of 500 isolated villages in Algeria. It is one of the programs that we have developed to promote one of our destinations, which is Qal'at 8th Abbas. Is a fun way to introduce history to citizens. The discovery of Al-Qal'a continues in enthusiasm and good mood. Everyone gets involved in discovering these historic places. It has been a long time since I wanted to visit it. It's a great opportunity and I'm discovering it and I'm amazed. The enchanted visitors continue to discover the mosques of Al-Madrasa, the forest and other historical places, captivated by the historical richness of its citadel. The initiative of Isoren Algeria contributes to revive these remote villages so that they never fall into oblivion and thus revive the memory.
That was it for our news edition. Thanks for tuning in to our program. Good night.